question for today is, should Christians be vegans? And it's a great question. Did God tell us to not eat meat in the beginning? And let's start from the beginning. In Genesis, God put Adam and Eve into the Garden of Eden, and He said that everything that the ground produces, so grass, bushes, trees, that is to eat for us. He did not mention any meats. In fact, back in the Garden of Eden, all animals live together. Dinosaurs, lions, and lambs, right? Everything is together. Now, what happened? Why are we eating meat today? After man sinned, so Adam sinned and Eve sinned, they were cast out of the Garden of Eden, and God cursed the earth. That's where we got so many changes in animals. That's why predators became meat eaters, right? Lions became meat eaters, whereas before they ate vegetables, and that's how it's going to be in heaven as well. Because in Isaiah we read that a lion and the lamb will be led by a small child. So in heaven we're going to have harmony. After Noah's ark, after the flood, God said to Noah that now, from this point on, you can eat meat. And in fact, He brought sacrifices of meat, of animals, on the altar right after the flood. So animals were sacrificed. And if we're speaking of cruelty, animals were sacrificed for hundreds, if not thousands of years since Abraham. They were given regulations on what to eat and what not to eat. And in fact, they weren't allowed to eat pigs, they weren't allowed to eat shrimps, and other things like that. Now in the New Testament, Jesus Himself didn't wash His hands when He was eating, and the people saw, the Pharisees saw, and they said, "What in the world are you doing? You're supposed to wash your hands before you eat. It's a tradition passed down from our parents." And Jesus said, it's not what goes into your mouth that makes you unclean, but what comes out. So basically your words. And then Apostle Paul in Romans tells us that all food is clean in itself, and it only becomes unclean if it makes another brother stumble or if your conscience goes against it. So if your friend thinks you're eating food that was sacrificed for idolatry, and he's watching you and he's saying, "Oh, this Christian, he worships idols too by eating this food sacrificed to idols," I'm going to keep an eye on him. He's a hypocrite. It's better you don't eat meat. And in fact, Paul said, I'm not going to eat meat if it makes someone stumble. It in itself is pure, but I won't eat it. Living in this new environment, especially after the flood, Kent Hovind says that the long-necked dinosaur, the huge-necked dinosaur, has nostrils the size of a modern-day horse. Think about that. Huge. 10 times the size of an elephant, has nostrils the size of a modern-day horse. How much oxygen does he have to take in? Of course he's not going to survive in the new environment. And in the new environment, we couldn't survive with nutrients provided by the ground for whatever reason, which is why God allowed us to eat meat. And Abraham, his sons, all throughout the Bible, everyone's eating meat because we get our nutrients from it. There's a lot of nutrients found only in meat, or in high concentrations only in meat. Some of which are creatine, vitamin B12, vitamin D3, carnosine, DHA, which is an omega-3 fatty acid. Iron is very much easier to obtain from meat than it is from plants, and etc. And what about animal cruelty? So animals can be sacrificed, right, or killed without cruelty. You can shoot a cow in the head, or you can chop its head off, or a chicken's head off without it having to suffer cruelty. By cruelty I mean torture or being raised in bad conditions. So it's a normal process that's been done for thousands of years, but that's their purpose in life now. That's what we see in the Bible. We see Jesus Himself cooking fish for the disciples. So obviously this is normal. In our fallen world, this is what it ought to be done. Jesus passed out fish to 5,000 people who came to listen to Him. So eating meat is completely normal, it's 100% biblical. Regarding torture, animals can be killed without torture and without cruelty. They don't suffer for an extended period of time before they die. And that's their role in our life today. They are there so we would have dominion over them, but also God created them knowing there's going to be a fall, knowing that we're going to need these nutrients that He put into the animals to produce. Now that they produce them, we receive all these things. But the fact that Jesus ate meat, the disciples ate meat, and the fact that Paul said it's pure, I don't see why we shouldn't eat it. But in the Bible, I see it permitted, I see it allowed, and I don't see any problem why a Christian should be omnivorous the way that we have been for thousands of years since the flood. May God bless you all. Paul with you today, Fortress. If you have any more questions, ask below. Most thumbs up gets an answer. Bye-bye.